Manchester United. So much for them to look forward to this season. What a job he's done at Old Trafford. The only manager in the game now to have done the clean sweep both north and south of the border. George Graham, of course, has won the lot at Arsenal. Between them, they've carved up the major trophies these past few years. Although Leeds, of course.
Yeah, we got in the way. Yeah.
Got in the way.
Yeah.
A couple of seasons back.
Yeah, but Alec deserves it. He's worked very, very hard there. And you must give credit to the directors and the chairman of Manchester United, because 4 years ago they were all calling for Alex's head, and they persevered with Alec. And it's just a lesson to other chairmen in the Football League to have a look at what happened to Manchester United.
Just to wait. When things aren't going so well,
take your time. And if you honestly believe that's your man, you stick by him. And that's what Martin Edwards did. And I think they've been fully rewarded with their decisions, because they were under pressure to get rid of Alec, but they hung in there and they hung in there, and they knew he was the right man, and they stood by their judgment, and at the end of the day they've come away with all sorts of trophies.
And George Graham, of course, Charlie, has done the same sort of job at Arsenal, hasn't he? They're a force again.
Well, obviously he's done tremendously well. The thing that's with George, he's cleared a few players out when he first went there, but he seems to have had success all the time. It's just a roll-on situation. He goes from strength to strength. And I should imagine by the end of this year there'll be a trophy or two as well.
Well, that's what Tony Adams was saying. Of course, there's 4 to have a go at right now. Pin him down and say, which would you prefer? Then it would be the Premiership trophy. That's the one everybody sets out to win, of course, first.
I think it's the greatest competition to win in the world, and especially with the standard of football in this country. Every game is like a cup final for the clubs in England. And any team that wins the Premier League is, they know they've done extremely well.
Team's being presented to Billy Wright, the former England skipper, 105 caps he won, of course, didn't he? Sir Burton Millerchip and Graham Kelly, various other FA dignitaries down the line of Manchester United. Do you still get a bit of a tingle for United, Gordon, or has it left you now? Are you a Leeds man through
I'm
and
okay.
through?
I've went to another great club. I'm okay, but I enjoy my 5 years there. Great club to play for, but as I'm saying, I'm very, very fortunate to go to another club just over the Pennines, a magnificent club as well, with supporters that are, if not better than Man United supporters, the Leeds United supporters, because they went 9 years in the second division and the support's been magnificent. But I love Manchester United to play there. It's a wonderful place. As I'm saying, I've been very lucky to play 2 top clubs.
What a choice for Roy Keane, Charlie. Arsenal or United or Blackburn.
Great choice for him. Hopefully he just goes out today and gets a couple of early touches, and I mean, people know his capabilities, so it'd just be nice to get involved in the game for him, really. I think it will take him a little bit of time to settle down, but he's got, I'm sure he's got a tremendous character, and you'll see it come through within 3 or 4 months. I would say he'll be the Roy Keane of Nottingham Forest, but doing it for Man United.
Just settling down for the national anthem. Here we go then, the 1993 FA Charity Shield between Arsenal and Manchester United, live from Wembley. Match commentators Andy Gray and Martin Tyler.
Thank you, Richard. Football's fundraising day for charitable causes, as glamorous as it's ever been. The winners of all 3 major domestic trophies involved. 2 sides sparkling with high-profile players, and today some notable names not able to break into the starting 11s. They include Arsenal's major summer signing, Eddie McGoldrick from Crystal Palace. Anders Limpar, loved by the Highbury fans, but at times at loggerheads with the management, is given the chance to stake a claim for a place in the Carling Premiership side. Alan Smith has a damaged ankle, so Kevin Campbell moves back alongside Ian Wright. In personnel then, Limpar for Smith, the only change from the FA Cup winning team. Andy Gray, let's have a look at the formation.
Yeah, the only real surprise, I agree with you, is the inclusion of Anders Limpar. The back four will be very much the same, Martin. It will look to be very solid, but it's these two here, Anders Limpar and Paul Merson, that I'm looking to. Don't expect them to stay like that for most of the game. Don't be surprised if they actually change wings and they're given a roving role, both of them, to go and cause damage to Manchester United's defence.
Well, such is the talent at Alec Ferguson's disposal that he can leave Brian Robson champing at the bit on the bench. Lee Sharp is also on the sidelines, and even the omnipresent Brian McClair misses out today. Roy Keane with Paul Ince in midfield then. Andrei Kanchelskis keeps his spot after his winning goal against Celtic in midweek. And it's the perfect comeback match for Eric Cantona, the central character of last year's Charity Shield.
Again, this looks a pretty formidable Manchester United lineup. A real threat, obviously, from the two wide boys, Giggs and Kanchelskis. But Cantona and Hughes, for me, have got a big say in this game. If they can open up the centre-backs at the back of the Arsenal defence, then watch for Keane making these runs straight at angles, at diagonals, all like that. And it just means that perhaps Paul Ince will just anchor himself in front of the two centre-backs in a more disciplined role today.
Roy Keane, never out of the newspapers in the close season, now out to show he's settled at his newly chosen club. Gerald Ashby, the referee, in black, which stopped Manchester United parading their revolutionary change strip of all black in this game. Modelling the red shirt then, Eric Cantona, who appeared on the catwalks of Paris fashion houses earlier in the summer. His footballing style very much in vogue with Manchester United. But can Anders Limpar tailor his game to George Graham's needs? You do feel he won't get many more opportunities. Ian Wright's life never less than complicated, docked £5,000 for bad behaviour on this very ground in the cup final replay. His pre-season saddened much more by a family bereavement, but he scored in each of the 3 Arsenal warm-up games in which he's played, including those 2 penalties past Peter Schmeichel in South Africa. Arsenal do have a change to the design of their yellow kit. No longer the checkered flag formula that proved popular with their fans. And Arsenal, as you will notice, are wearing the squad numbers that they will use in the Premiership, as we must learn to call it, the Carling Premiership this season. But Manchester United have chosen to go just 1 to 11 in more orthodox fashion for this game.
I can only assume the kit man hasn't got their strips ready yet, Martin.
Well, they've got so many different kits, I'm not surprised. Gary Pallister, not disguised by a number 6. Andy Linnigan, the most unlikely hero of the FA Cup final replay. And crowning his most settled spell, really, in Arsenal's colours. The shot is from Ince, who finished last season's Premier League with a goal in each of the last 3 games.
Well, his shooting is normally better than this, but I think we can forgive him this early in the season for not quite getting it on target.
All credit to their fans who have had such an early start today, and just looking around Wembley, it seems that the United end is more packed than the Arsenal end. But here's Campbell trying to give the North London supporters something to cheer.
Well, George Graham's been raving about Kevin Campbell's performances in pre-season, indicating that he's slimmer, he's fitter, he's more hungry than he's been in a couple of years. And he very nearly connects with a bright piece of thinking from Anders Limpar. Had he only taken control of it the first time round, he might just have beaten Schmeichel. But I think we see there, the left arm comes up, and the linesman very quick to spot that.
Handball given, and Peter Schmeichel starting the game again with a free kick rather than a goal kick. Parker. The basis of Manchester United's championship success, surely they're defending the best defensive record in the league again. Paul Parker came back into the side in the autumn, and they haven't made a change in the back line since then. Tony Adams very much the focal point on that side of Arsenal's game, and just stopping Cantona getting into his stride, the ball breaking only for Ince. And we haven't yet even mentioned Ryan Giggs, which shows the calibre of performers on view today.
They were a bit unlucky there as well, because Manchester United had 2 against 1 situation at the back post with Eric Cantona and Andrei Kanchelskis against Nigel Winterburn. Unfortunately for Arsenal, Ryan Giggs could only pick out Nigel Winterburn.
Just to remind you that Arsenal did beat today's opponents less than 2 weeks ago in Johannesburg. Steve Bruce gave away 2 penalties. Ian Wright scored 2 penalties. But Manchester United were short of their England players who didn't travel, and Cantona as well. And Pallister, who played so well for England in the month of June when he won 4 caps in 2.5 weeks, having won 5 in the previous 5 years. And he accelerated there to catch up an England colleague in Ian Wright, and just steer things away from the danger area for Manchester United. Campbell waiting for a longish throw from Lee Dixon. Pallister involved again. Giggs. And it is certainly worth watching this match with England internationals squad in mind, and Wales of course as well, with Ryan Giggs. And Wales better placed than England as we look towards the United States in a year's time. But when the teams arrived at Wembley today, the fellowship that's obviously been built up in the England camp certainly showing as players from both camps got together and compared notes about their family holidays. Sharp and Pallister, Wright and Merson, a little group.
There was no snaps out, was there?
Well, there was one family snap out, and I'll tell you about that later. It didn't involve any of the players. It involved the Manchester United kit man, Norman Davis, who was spotted in Cyprus. Here's Giggs. Put behind by Adams. 5 minutes gone, a corner to Manchester United.
Just needed to delay his cross by a few seconds to allow the rest of the Manchester United attackers to catch up with him. He'd left them behind a little bit there, Ryan Giggs.
It's over Bruce, which was good news for Arsenal. Here's Kanchelskis. Giggs held his position well to stay onside, and just tried to check inside Paul Davis, who's just signed a new contract for Arsenal. It's another Ryan Giggs corner. And dealt with easily by Merson. It's very warm, as is so often on Charity Shield in August. No offside. And Campbell beaten to it by Schmeichel. Paul Parker was covering in the centre after Pallister and Bruce had gone forward for the corners at the other end.
Always dangerous that when you step up with no pressure on the ball. I think the linesman probably got it right here. See, Paul Parker doesn't know what's behind him there. He doesn't know there's a Manchester United player behind him there, and then it can be so costly to step up in those situations. But he was
Graham
spot on.
Barber, the linesman with the FIFA badge. Well, Arsenal so good at set plays. Davis with the free kick. Jumping for the header was right. 30 goals last season. Well, it's different for the coaches today with the... this was the view from the coach's side of the ground at the free kick from Davis. And Nick Collins has got some comments as to what's happening down on the benches. Nick.
Well, Martin, it's quite interesting. We've been watching both benches to see if they'll take advantage of the new ruling about coaching, but I suppose it's a case of old habits die hard, because most of the time they've sat exactly where they are meant to be and shouted from there. They haven't actually got up on the touchline.
Well, they might get up and celebrate here for Manchester United if Giggs can weave some magic. Dennis Irwin, wonderfully consistent last season, gets in the cross, missed by Linnigan, back by Cantona, and volleyed in by Mark Hughes. And there is celebration on the Manchester United bench. In the 8th minute, they lead Arsenal by a goal to nil, and last season's leading scorer is on target here at Wembley, Mark Hughes.
I'll tell you the big difference for me is that Dennis Irwin, such a marvellous crossing of the ball, puts in a really telling cross. But just watch the way Cantona just teases it back in there. And when Mark Hughes is asked to volley the ball, he doesn't often miss the target. Really was superb execution from Hughes. Watch it again. Watch the shape of his body. When it comes, look at Hughes, eye on the ball, knee over it, even at that height. And that's a magnificent strike.
And Andy Linnigan, who headed so sensationally into this very net in the cup final replay, ducked out of a header then. And really, Manchester United got it absolutely spot on from then. Cantona, Hughes, 1-0.
I noticed Lee Dixon's hand went up looking for offside. Mark, I think it was probably Paul Ince he was talking about, who had just drifted into an offside position as Hughes struck the ball. But I don't think any reason to give offside in that situation.
Here's Irwin. Now Giggs. Irwin goes on again. Linnigan has to stretch across and defends more effectively with help from Dixon. Limpar, as we suspected, starting on the right-hand side. Merson has come in from the left and making a central run at the moment. John Jensen wearing number 17. One of 2 Danes on the pitch, of course. With Peter Schmeichel now with not just a goal to protect, but a 1-goal lead to protect. Parker. Cantona, very much back in business, got injured playing for France last month. Look at this for a pass, and it's Roy Keane. Just the sort of run that we expect from him. Now, can Manchester United round it off again? It's still with Keane. And it's Cantona, and it's David Seaman. That would have been delightful for Alex Ferguson to see, and for the Manchester United fans to appreciate. Not the shot from Cantona, but the run from Roy Keane.
Well, I said before the game that this is what I was looking for, and this is what I would expect from Roy Keane. He's a little bit unfortunate, he's taken it too wide, but he knows that, so he's aware. Tony Adams gets back and blocks it brilliantly, but he's still aware, picks out Cantona. When you think Eric's going to bury it, David Seaman makes a fine save.
Merson. Arsenal so used to playing at Wembley, their 5th visit since April. Here's Limpar, trying to impart some swerve there in a Scandinavian showdown, the Swede against the Danish goalkeeper. But Arsenal now trying to come from behind.
Let's have a closer look at this goal though, and just watch the way Hughes connects it. Watch his shape. Well, he gets his shape, and look at that. I mean, that is classic, it is textbook, it is superb.
Cantona causing havoc again. Dixon. Dixon stays down. Well, Lee Dixon,
Glad we didn't have a breather, Martin.
He was sent off here in the semi-final of the FA Cup. Arsenal hoping that he's not going to have to be carried off now. But we talk about this being not quite the real thing. But Arsenal and Manchester United have such a rivalry, even in what is technically a pre-season game, I suppose. The silverware is awaiting at the top of the Wembley steps, and both camps determined to try and make sure that their captain goes up to get it. But Dixon still in distress. Arsenal have got Martin Keown warming up.
Just noticed Brian Kidd's out right about a metre from the touchline, would you say he's there? Maybe taking advantage of the new laws that say he can step out that far.
George Graham not moving, but Martin Keown limbering up. Well, on this set of Manchester United shirts, the names are not in evidence. You can tell which favourite that young man has. It's this young man, still only 19. It's his 100th appearance already for Manchester United today. Just have another look at how Lee Dixon got hurt. Andy.
Yeah, you can just see, I mean, that's typical of what we saw from Paul Ince last season. Tackling people, tackling back, and you can see that Lee Dixon just kicked his soul, and that can be pretty painful.
Paul Ince, who captained England twice in the United States.
I'll tell you what, Martin, you'll tell me if I'm wrong, but was that a piece of history we saw at Wembley in the Charity Shield, the quickest goal scored here? I believe Martin O'Neill's in 10 minutes was the quickest before today.
Well, you've just had a piece of paper handed to you with an official stamp on it, so I'm not going to be a man to argue against that. We're talking Wembley Charity Shields, of course.
Yes, we are.
Because the last time that Arsenal and Manchester United met in a Charity Shield was in 1948. Manchester United asked for the kick-off to be brought forward. The game was played at Highbury so that United could get the last train back to Manchester. And Arsenal were 3 up in no time at all. The game finished 4-3 in Arsenal's favour, and the way it started here, and bearing in mind we had a 4-3 extravaganza at Leeds and Liverpool a year ago, well, you would hope that there are more goals to come. It's a dangerous thing for commentators to commit themselves to.
But I'll tell you what does make for a goal feast in games is an early goal. I think we get two teams as strong defensively as these two, you'd expect goals to be few and far between, but when a team gets one in the first 10 minutes like that, it can just be the spur for both teams to go and attack.
Keane has started well. Kanchelskis. There's Jensen doing what he does best, just getting a toe in and giving it to others to move it forward for Arsenal. Like Wright, like Campbell, and Limpar away on the far side, and Kevin Campbell trying to just play that with the outside of the right foot and curve it back towards Limpar. Got the ball a bit too high on the foot, and it went straight forward.
It's a little bit sloppy. One of the best situations they've had, Arsenal. They've been few and far between in this opening spell.
Merson, Winterburn on the gallop outside it. Oh, awkward for Schmeichel, and the fortune that he had was that it bounced away from Kevin Campbell. And they do like an inquest in that Manchester United defence. Schmeichel and Bruce having strong words there.
Well, that's a good run from Nigel Winterburn. Watch it just sit up about a yard in front of Peter Schmeichel. Really was a difficult one to take.
Merson's corner. Oh, and Schmeichel almost beaten to it again by Adams.
I think he probably made amends there. I think we'll probably find that he just gets a little touch to this. It looked for all the world that Tony Adams was just going to nick that in, but Schmeichel just stretched those fingertips.
And it's another corner. That was Hughes clearing. Winterburn. Well, Kanchelskis, who loves to run with the ball, and this is a great opportunity for him. Making tracks from the far side is Eric Cantona. And it was Jensen who also covered the ground facing his own goal. Yeah, we might see from the angle behind the goal whether that would have gone in from Cantona.
I don't think it was going in, but how often last season did we see that type of play from Manchester United? Defending a corner, and within 5 or 6 seconds they're causing opponents problems in their own box. They really do switch defence to attack brilliantly.
Well, with Roy Keane marauding forward from midfield, his natural game, of course, Paul Ince, who likes to push on himself, will have to hold a bit more. And Brian Robson I spoke to in the tunnel, and I can confirm to you there's no injury at all involved in his absence. He's just not been chosen. And he, as I said at the start, is bursting to be involved. And you can't blame him, because he must feel that this Manchester United setup really are going to still go on to greater and greater things. But Arsenal always going to be a major obstacle in the domestic tournaments.
Especially at Wembley, Martin. The record, Arsenal's record at Wembley over the years has been absolutely fantastic. A team who come here and don't lose many.
Well, when these sides have met down the years, there have usually been fireworks. You think of that match at Old Trafford when both teams got dock points. George Graham got fined 2 weeks' wages, along with some of his players, for the wrong kind of fireworks. Can you remember Lee Sharp getting a hat-trick in a League Cup tie at Highbury when Manchester United won 6-2? And Sharp can't get into the side today. And then, of course, when you think of Wembley, the FA Cup final of 1979 and Alan Sunderland's last Garth winner. So it's no surprise, really, that they're putting on a treat for us. It's 1-0 to Manchester United. And it's Parker. Here's Ince. Keane furthest forward. Kanchelskis coming from a little deeper. Keane on again. Down he goes. Linnigan played the ball. Gerald Ashby didn't even bat an eyelid. And doesn't blow either the referees. Kanchelskis gets it back shoulder to shoulder with Winterburn. Giggs lets it run. Hughes, everybody wanting the ball. Kept in by Keane. Cantona using his strength unfairly. The linesman flags, and Manchester United are stopped in their tracks, and Cantona can't believe the decision.
I think he's a bit unlucky. I thought Tony Adams committed himself to the tackle, and Cantona just used his body weight brilliantly to shield the ball. But this was the earlier incident when it needed a desperation tackle from Andy Linnigan to stop Roy Keane. But here's the Cantona one. Watch Tony Adams commits himself to the tackle. Cantona, for me, does not a lot wrong there. If I was George Graham, Martin, I'd be thinking of switching my 2 midfield players around. I think that Roy Keane is running off the back of Paul Davis at will, and Paul Davis is having trouble keeping up with him. I think John Jensen's are better defensively than Paul Davis, and it may be that they should think of switching those two.
Can I support your argument in that particular debate, because John Jensen marked Roy Keane out of the game when the Republic of Ireland played Denmark in the World Cup at the back end of last season.
Yeah, I mean, that's been a noticeable factor in the opening stages. It's how easily Roy Keane has threatened Arsenal's back four, with Paul Davis really a more constructive player, looking lost at times.
Ince. Giggs trying to get it in early. Here is Jensen. Well, Paul Merson usually provides something special on his visits to Wembley. It's been a surface to suit his own brand of play. Jensen, Campbell trying to get between Parker and Bruce with the ball. It breaks for Merson again. Jensen. And now Dixon. And that's nicely done by Bruce. What a fine ambassador he's proved to be for Manchester United, with more and more of the spotlight as the captain in the absence of Brian Robson. And a fine player as well. We always have to keep pointing out he's the only non-full international in this galaxy of players who have represented their countries.
When you talk to strikers around the country, and they'll tell you that Steve Bruce is one of the most difficult players to play against. It's quite amazing he's never been capped.
Ian Wright is responsible for such a high proportion of Arsenal's goals, more than 40% last season, which would be a worry for George Graham.
Well, it is a worry when you're playing a team that scored as few goals as Arsenal did in all competitions last year. And they're going to be looking for something more from the likes of Kevin Campbell. in Paul Merson this year in the goals tally, Mark. They really are.
It's a theatrical spin by Wright, trying to get a decision, but the referee saw that Bruce got the ball fairly enough. But now Arsenal do get a free kick against Hughes. We're halfway through the first half. Arsenal didn't score against Manchester United in the Premier League last season. It was 1-0 to United at Highbury, a Hughes goal, as it is today, and 0-0 at Old Trafford in the more nervy months at the end of the season. Pallister with the header. Merson, not this time.
What we saw in a league match at Old Trafford this season, I think, crash one out the underside of the bar from a very similar range. Yeah, in the 0-0. It just dropped about there, didn't it? And he actually thundered it against the underside of the bar. But this one, beginning of the season, we'll allow him that.
Lee Dixon off the pitch for the moment, but I don't think that's to do with the previous injury. Maybe a change of boots.
Yeah, when he kicked the bottom of Paul Ince's boots, Martin, Ince's studs knew well and ripped the leather of Dixon's boots, and he's just had a quick change of one in.
As long as no one harms Ryan Giggs' boots after the sponsorship deal that he's come up with. They must be made of gold.
I don't think you'll have to worry where his next pair are coming from, do you?
You certainly can't blame the manufacturers for wanting to link up with the most exciting young talent around. But not the only one. Dixon, Linnigan, and pressure from Ince. Here's Jensen. Linnigan. Well, Ian Wright has just got away on the blind side of Pallister. Can he tee up Campbell? Here he does. It ends rather embarrassingly for Arsenal. It was a fine run by Wright to get into the position, and he certainly looked up at the key moment and spotted his striking partner. Campbell trying to get his mind back on the game quickly. Limpar, Davis, Jensen. Here's Winterburn. Well, the better opportunity was for Kevin Campbell, and that was all down to the work of Ian Wright.
Best run from Ian Wright in the game so far. It was never going to be an easy one. You saw Steve Bruce throw himself at Campbell's feet, but it certainly was a promising run from Ian Wright.
Merson. Here's Wright. Now Winterburn. Limpar has come into the centre and trying to get involved in the game more by straying from his berth on the right-hand side. Davis. Adams. Jensen, but Ince got there. And here's Cantona, and Manchester United moves sweetly forward again. The flag was up for offside for all the claims for handball. Kanchelskis, as Cantona had rather delayed in possession, and he couldn't see a pass. Kanchelskis had gone into the offside position. Limpar. Well, it didn't work for Anders Limpar then, but I'm sure that's what George Graham would want him to do if Arsenal can get him into the game.
I think what's important for Arsenal with both Merson and Limpar is they do provide width. I've noticed many occasions already in this game, both are tending to tuck in field. I don't think that helps Arsenal's cause at all.
There was no dallying there by Giggs, letting the play develop, chasing back as if Premiership points were at stake. Knocked away by Seaman. Both goalkeepers, incidentally, have had surgery in the summer. Seaman for a hernia and Schmeichel a cartilage operation.
This is an excellent game for George Graham and Alex Ferguson to assess just how well the pre-season training has gone. With a week to go, he'll be thinking, now, what do we tinker with? Do we need to sharpen them up a little bit more? The stamina work should be more or less over with, so they'll be looking today at how tired the players get and just what to do in the last week before the season kicks off, just to fine-tune them. And this is a great game to assess all that.
And the warmth of Wembley, it may just be not quite as sapping with the earlier kickoff. It really does get steamy late on summer afternoons. Lack of air in the stadium. But they should be relaxing in the bar, coming up to 2:30. Hughes. Well, it was perhaps the more difficult of a couple of options that Hughes had. It was certainly the most penetrated ball had he been able to achieve it, but Ryan Giggs was on the left, Kanchelskis on the right. But again, suddenly Manchester United having 4 up, and even a defence as capable as Arsenal's looking shaky. Campbell, pass Bruce, pass Owen. It's a great run from Campbell. Oh, and Schmeichel couldn't grasp it, and it was hoisted away by Pallister before Ian Wright could tap the ball into what would have been an unguarded net. More like it from Campbell. Limpar. Oh, that's delightful. And so was the shot.
Well, let's take Anders Limpar's chance first here. This is why George Graham's picked him. Beautiful footwork. And he's got the ability to look up and attempt a curler like that. That's no more than a yard wide. But this is what I've been looking for from Kevin Campbell last season that he didn't produce too often for Arsenal. That power, that direction. But here's the major difference. I think had that been at the other end, we'd have had Ince and Keane coming in to tap it into an empty net. Arsenal don't have that threat from the middle of midfield, and we're restricted to having only Ian Wright in the box.
Anders Limpar announced himself to Arsenal fans here at Wembley 3 years ago in the Makita tournament. He scored an absolutely stunning goal against Aston Villa from a tight angle. But week in, week out in the top division, he hasn't always perhaps had the attitude that George Graham demands of his players. As I said earlier, it's been something of a love-hate relationship. No one more than George Graham would love to see Limpar in full cry on a regular basis. Kanchelskis, who's similar really in a way, looking for consistency for Manchester United. Again, he starts this game, like Limpar, striving to get a regular spot. Played for Russia against France and against Cantona in July and scored a goal.
See that little example there when Nigel Winterburn had the ball, Martin? I would be looking for Paul Merson. He'd be pulling wide on the wing to give him an option, but he's nowhere to be seen. He's tucked in the central midfield area, congesting things up. They've really got to spread it wide a little bit more. Give themselves a few more options.
But there was another encouraging burst from Campbell then. Just stopped by Schmeichel.
He certainly looks slimmer Kevin Campbell than last season. And he started this game quite well.
And Campbell really marked time last season and had to live with some public debate that Arsenal let the wrong man go in Andrew Cole, who we'll be seeing for Newcastle, of course, in the Carling Premiership. Campbell will be determined to prove the doubters wrong.
Hey! Pass it again, Eric!
12 minutes left in the first half. Mark Hughes for Manchester United. They lead Arsenal by 1-0. Arsenal, who have never won the Charity Shield at Wembley. They haven't won it anywhere since 1953. It's surprising, given what else they've won down the years. Cantona won it a year ago. Quite literally won it with his 3 goals. Right. Limpar. With the pace of Wright and Campbell, it's obviously tempting for the midfield players to shuttle it into those areas quickly enough. It doesn't look quite so pretty when it doesn't come off.
Yeah, I think that's a natural ball from they're looking for, but when both strikers are making that same run, then it becomes easier for the likes of Bruce and Pallister to cope with it. If one of them is pulling short, looking for a ball, and the other one making the long run, they're doing it in tandem then it becomes more difficult for centre-backs to cope with it.
Well, it certainly hasn't been a game ruined by offsides. Alistair. Here's Adams. Well, Arsenal were in danger of getting caught out on 1 or 2 occasions there, and Linnigan in the end dispossessed by Hughes. Here comes Giggs. Dixon in the first place was played into trouble, but Manchester United couldn't make as much of that as seemed likely when Hughes got the ball. And the game is stretched for a moment.
You really can't dwell on the ball if you're playing against Manchester United anywhere on the pitch. Sometimes defenders assume we can take a little bit more time on the ball, but with the likes of Hughes and Giggs, and Kanchelskis in particular, putting you under pressure, you're always taking a risk.
Oh, Giggs had made a little burst across the line, and he's absolutely livid the way the free kick was taken in the end. It certainly was a pity for Manchester United. Arsenal had lost track of him. Davis, offside.
That was dodgy. Not too sure I agreed with the linesman in that occasion. I thought again Paul Parker had dropped deep and played both Merson and Campbell onside.
Cantona caught out by Adams. Arsenal winning it in United territory. But on the break, it's Kanchelskis. 4 players in the middle for Manchester United. Well, it was like a fall into a holiday swimming pool at the end by Kanchelskis. But Gerald Ashby spotted the contact, and Ryan Giggs has spotted up the ball.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if he decides to take this on.
David Seaman has only asked for 2 in the wall. And 2 are enough. Nigel Winterburn alongside Jensen. Giggs gets it back a second time. Ince calls for it, gets it, and very nearly gets a second for Manchester United. Paul Ince with plenty of power.
Well, they weren't that many better than this. He gives Steve Bruce an early call to get out the way, and this starts dipping just a bit now. And a yard later, that goal would have been a yard or 2 further back. That would have taken the net off. Strikes it superbly. Then it starts to dip, but just a fraction too late.
Alistair head and shoulders above Campbell. Giggs trying to get the drop on Dixon. And as it was lofted long by Linnigan. It was Ian Wright who was caught offside. The game against United in South Africa was the only one that Ian Wright played for Arsenal on that trip. He had to come home because of the family bereavement. Hughes. Well, he was tripped by Adam Shawley. Pallister. Irwin. Arsenal had squeezed the play. Well, in the top division, it is a combination of organisation, athleticism, but the level of skill should be looked at closely because it's a high level. Game being played at such pace. And with Bruce down here, there are always going to be casualties. Jim McGregor, who was telling me before the kick-off it's his 28th season in the game.
Well, he's nearly been in the game as long as Gordon Strachan then, isn't he? Just gets caught late on there by Ian Wright. But that for me would be, if I was Alec Ferguson, my two centre-backs would be my main worry in respect to how good is his cover below that. I think we'll look at this squad and Fergie all over the park will think, I'm covered everywhere. I'm not so sure just how well covered he would be in that centre-back area if we were to lose one of those two.
Well, of course, he's got Michael Phelan, who played alongside Steve Bruce against Arsenal in South Africa. He's got Paul Parker, who's done that job, but that would necessitate, obviously, another change. And what he has got also is that crop of very promising young players that got to the final of the FA Youth Cup. Gary Neville and Chris Casper were in England's under-18 party that won the European Championship.
The players you're naming there, it's not exactly what you would call a Steve Bruce or Gally Parasar. Someone who could come in there and you'd think, yeah, he'd fill in quite easily there.
Wright! Oh, how does he do it? How does he do it? Ian Wright on the periphery of the game, and then suddenly he's left Peter Schmeichel shaking his head with another sensational shot. It's 1-1.
Well, if this is a little example of what we're about to see in this first Premiership season, then I, for one, can't wait. He's had a quiet first half, but that drops there. He knows exactly where the goal is. His decision's an instant one. I'm going to hit this. And Peter Schmeichel can only do what you and I did, Martin. Stand and admire it.
Well, he quite takes the breath away. And he's certainly taking some of the wind out of Manchester United's sails. They were good value for their lead, given to them by Mark Hughes in the 8th minute. And here we are, 5 minutes before half-time. It's 1-1. And although he scores such a great proportion of Arsenal's goals, if he keeps on doing it, of course, they can manage. Now they have to defend. Free kick from Giggs, not a good one. Dixon far enough away. Out comes Limpar. Arsenal getting the supporting players in position, but not where Limpar finally pushed the ball onto, looking for Merson.
Just chose the wrong option. Anders Limpar. Now that's an interesting game ahead. You should never doubt the determination of this Arsenal side to dig in there. They never gave up a game in these cup runs last year. And again, they're back into a game where they've really been second best for the majority of this first half.
While you were talking, Andy, another little surge from midfield by Roy Keane. Kick is offside. Well, Ian Wright is playing his 80th game for Arsenal today, his 57th goal. It's a fantastic record, and so many of the goals have been spellbinding.
Well, that was pure instinct, that goal. It dropped here. Ian Wright thought, I've got about a fraction of a second before Paul Parker's studs hit me to get a shot in here. The accuracy was, well, it was there to be admired. It's as simple as that.
Giggs. Dixon defending well, keeping Giggs well out of harm's way, and in fact not even conceding a throw. The United fans in that area of the ground, the majority, felt it should have been a free kick. Giggs of the same mind. Arsenal have equalised with their first shot on target.
But that's what makes the likes of Ian Wright very special, Martin. In this level of football, you sometimes only get one shot in the game. That might be Ian Wright's only one, but how he's made it pay.
Here is Wright. Merson was beetling towards the near post. Dennis Irwin stuck out a foot. An unsung hero for Manchester United last season, Irwin. Rarely had a bad game. Needed him here. Up comes Adams. Limpar. Linnigan going in, beaten by Pallister. Winterburn. Merson. Tight for Arsenal. And they could be caught with too many players pushed forward. 4 up for Manchester United. Cantona, Kanchelskis, Giggs is up alongside him. And Jensen responsibly the rescuer for George Graham's team. Limpar. The balance swings the other way. Roy Keane, who, with some justification, has a reputation for being hot-headed.
Oh, he gets stuck in, Roy Keane. You can't doubt the boy's determination, but you can see he did nothing wrong there. He actually pulls out, doesn't stick a leg out, did nothing wrong at all. Anders Limpar just fooled the referee a little bit.
We don't need to put captions up on the screen now for you, do we, with the names on the shirts?
Oh, it certainly makes our job easier, though.
As long as they put the right shirt on. Well, you can't see the name there, and I can tell you that is Ian Selly, who has passed his 19th birthday in the summer. Got a winner's medal in the Coca-Cola Cup and the FA Cup without kicking a ball as a non-playing substitute.
But again, an example a minute ago, if you lose the ball, Manchester United get men forward so quickly, and they're a real threat that's unbelievable. You've got to protect that ball when you're attacking them.
Stoppage time at the end of a first half that has been up to the standards that we expect from two of the country's premier clubs. Some might say the two most likely to take the prizes this season. But no great clues who's going to get the prize today. No extra time if it stays level after 90 minutes, but there will be a penalty shootout. So there has to be a definitive winner. There was a time, even quite recently, when it was shared. Arsenal shared it 2 years ago with Spurs after a rather stale, goalless game here. Play on, says Gerald Ashby. Winterburn slow to pick himself up. Cantona. Other Arsenal players were not waiting for the whistle, including Paul Davis in particular. Here's Wright, Campbell. Ince not wanting to just knock the ball out of play. But in the end, it's cost Manchester United a free kick.
Well, it may be the Charity Shield, but the players aren't certainly showing each other much charity out there.
We saw the charity in the tunnel before they came out. They were happy enough there, but this is very competitive.
That's pre-kick-off, Martin. That's pre-kick-off. These lads didn't win things last year being nice to each other.
Davis with a free kick, a chance for Arsenal to get in front. Right on half-time. Kevin Campbell, the ball brushing his brow.
There's some good movement in there, particularly from Tony Adams. And by his good movement, it allowed Campbell to get the free header in. You see Tony Adams peel away to the back, and by that movement, up goes Campbell free, and even at the back post, Tony Adams is free.
Merson. We've had 4 minutes now of time added on. Arsenal trying to put the extra moments to good use. Winterburn. Here's Keane. Half-time, 1-1. If you just heard the scoreline, I'm sure you would have guessed the two scorers, the two leading marksmen from last season. Mark Hughes for Manchester United, Ian Wright for Arsenal, and you wouldn't be surprised about the manner of the goals either. Both swept in spectacularly. Arsenal have had to do more of the defending, but we know all about their commitment. They've shown it again here, and it's all set up for a splendid second half.
Let's go back and rejoin Andy Gray and Martin Tyler.
Thank you, Richard. All sorts of gear now for the fans to buy. I've noticed a lot of Manchester United fans, incidentally, today in the black shirts. They're obviously selling well as a fashion item, although the team not wearing them this afternoon. Arsenal have made a change at half-time. Lee Dixon picked up that ankle injury that we saw as he was tackled by Paul Ince relatively early in the game. And Martin Keown, another member of Graham Taylor's England squad, of course, comes on. Keown, who last played here for England against Holland when he played at left-back. Of course, he missed out on Arsenal's cup successes because he was cup-tied and signed too late from Everton to be involved. Manchester United still leave the likes of Robson, Sharp and McClare on the bench and stay with their starting 11. And I would think feeling just a little bit disappointed that they don't begin the second half leading. Manchester United, who finished last season's championship with 7 straight wins, and for all the efforts by Aston Villa, in the end they won it by a long way, 10 points.
That was admirable, that finish. No one would live with that, no one at all. 7 out of 7 in the run-in of a championship, it was incredible.
Dennis Irwin chipped in with the odd goal, of course. But from this range, the greater odds are that he will clip it up for the likes of Bruce and Cantona, or maybe not. He's having another look at what David Seaman set up. And he goes round the wall, but plopped into the arms of a goalkeeper who was once beaten from that type of range by Paul Gascoigne.
Yeah, I think Paul Gascoigne hit it with a little bit more venom than this one. You see what Dennis is trying to do. He's trying to bend it into David Seaman's left-hand side of his goal there, but didn't quite get it right.
Limpar. Arsenal flooding players into the centre. The ball came way behind the majority of them. And suddenly they've got to chase back now and try and catch Kanchelskis, which they have done through the very willing Ian Wright.
You see the importance again there. He gave the ball away needlessly, Anders Limpar just blasting it across the face of the 18-yard line. They lose possession and they end up chasing 60 yards back down the field to retrieve the ball again.
Campbell. Limpar taking over. Davis. And Jensen and Winterburn. Jensen giving Winterburn an alternative on the outside, but Steve Bruce cuts it out. Still looking for his first goal for Arsenal. He did score a World Cup goal for Denmark in June against Albania. Ince. Manchester United trying to reimpose themselves and play to their attacking strengths. Cantona. I wonder whether he'll last the full 90 minutes, having been short of match practice. Right. Stray one by Cantona. Slightly untidy start to the second half. I'm sure the players will soon sort that out. Merson. Right, and Ince, and suddenly it broke Campbell's way. Schumacher must have been absolutely sure that the all would run for a goal kick and not a corner. Let's get a word from Nick Collins, who's been chatting to the two managers as they came out for the second half. Nick.
Well, Martin, I can tell you that Arsenal are reasonably satisfied with the position they're in, although they feel they should be keeping possession a little better in this second half. As for United, well, they'll be concentrating on the accuracy of their passing because it's such a warm day, but no clues as to when and if we'll see Brian Robson in the second half.
Well, Brian McClair, it's odd looking at Roy Keane in the number 9 shirt, and him McClair keeps coming to your lips. He's won it for so long, hardly ever misses a game. Here is Keane. Kanchelskis. And we say again, these aren't the numbers that the Manchester United players will be wearing in the FA Carling Premiership. Keane forcing the throw. His last goal for Nottingham Forest was against Arsenal. That was at Highbury in April. Not enough to stop Forest going down. Winterburn. His own match fitness is in question. Alex Ferguson made public the need for Keane just to do extra work. The transfer negotiations getting in the way of the early part of his pre-season training.
I think you're right, but he can be well pleased with Roy Keane's physical contribution today already. He's worked very, very hard. Not only going forward, but in an area going back the way where you normally it's not noticed. But he's been chasing back and helping his defenders whenever he can.
Hughes. First on his feet again. Ince, first on the scene. Giggs. Kanchelskis. Good movement by Cantona to try and pull away from defenders there, but the ball came in very short of where he wanted it. Irwin. Easily past Limpar. Good ball for Ince to try and cross, but he was, as you could see, very, very determined to make something of it, and he's got the reward of a corner. And he's understandably pleased with the attempt then.
He's pleased. He was just forced a little bit wide. Dennis Irwin has to play the ball a little bit too wide where Paul Ince wanted it, but he's still committed enough to get there and earn the corner.
In goes Bruce. It's over with the best part of his job. His corner. Intercepted by Jensen. Merson. Finding some extra energy. And finding the pass to Limpar. To take on two. He's got a free kick for his ambition, although Owen feels he's been hard done by. And Jensen reacting very quickly. And it's Kevin Campbell for Arsenal. And still, and taken out of Schmeichel's hands by Bruce's header. Minigan got a toe in. Merson, Hinks couldn't intercept that time. Merson going round the outside, but still going. Oh, you see where that ended up by Bruce's clearance, and it could easily have flown into his own net after terrific play by Merson.
The most positive piece of play from Paul Merson, but good defending, not just that time, but the header before when he headed it clear. Steve Bruce took the initiative and cleared these lines.
Michael spotting the attempt by Limpar to find Campbell by the near post.
This would normally be quite comfortable for Peter Schmeichel. Takes it at the second attempt, but no real problem.
Cantona. Merson. Oh, Pallister is the defender under pressure from Campbell. And Campbell betted him, but not Schmeichel. Arsenal got the ball forward to the liking of Campbell then.
Lovely vision from Merson. Lovely vision.
Jensen again working back well. Ince too much on the left of him. And he goes it alone. With Kanchelskis trying to get out of his way as well.
Well, he's certainly shown an appetite to get forward in a Mapotic goal, Collins. That's, from what I can remember, his third one of the match within the first hour. This on his left foot, not quite his strongest, and he's leaning back. You can see there he's stretching for it, and that's the reason it went over the bar. But this is a move from Arsenal earlier. Look, the diagonal ball picks out Campbell. Now, as soon as a defender's turned like that facing his goal, the striker should be boss. And in this occasion, Campbell is, but can't quite beat Schmeichel.
Merson, who suddenly got into the game as a dominant force, was on an ambitious run. Foul by Adams, who was quick to apologise. It wasn't as quickly accepted by the fiery Irishman. Keane was caught by the Arsenal captain.
No surprise that Roy Keane wasn't too impressed with that tackle. Be interesting is when we talk about stamina and pre-season training, it's been tough up to now for the players, Martin. I don't think people quite realise how the physical demands of the first 4 weeks or whatever of pre-season. And one or two of these players today will get tired. It'll be interesting then to see A, which players get tired, and B, can the team with the strongest physical side at the moment take advantage of it.
Arsenal played 3 games in South Africa, the first of which was against Manchester United, and they won all 3. Right. Jensen going in, Davis looking for the droppings on the edge of the area, Limpar. That was an attempt of quality there, the chip aimed for Campbell, but Bruce spotted it.
But a much better cross from Anders Limpar. It was just teased in there. Watch this, he doesn't look. He knows where the danger area is, and he's just teasing it in there, encouraging strikers to go after it.
Just on the subject of fitness, Andy, that you were mentioning, Arsenal played at Charlton in midweek and were beaten. And without making excuses, they really felt they were exhausted by their travelling. To say nothing of the actual physical work they'd put in the training they'd done as well. Stuart Houston doing a bit of coaching in his new area.
That's it, now he should be going to sit back down, that's right.
He's allowed to be within a metre of the touchline, but it's also how he conducts himself in that area as well that the fourth official is going to scrutinise. The concern for Manchester United is that Arsenal have a free kick and Paul Merson is addressing it. Alistair with the sun in his eyes. Limpar nudging it back to Jensen. Here's Keown. Wright. And both Wright and Campbell hoping that Bruce was wrong-footed then, but the captain just managed to extricate himself.
Well, whereas I thought Manchester United started the game better, there's no doubt in my mind that Arsenal have started the second half better.
Oh, and it came off Adams. It was construed as a back pass. Cantona was lurking. Seaman's nerve held. He certainly couldn't knock it away first time. It was an awkward height.
Fortunately, he's on a wonderful, lush surface today. There wasn't much chance of a bobble or two, I don't think.
Of course, it was last year in the Charity Shield. We were watching the first effects of the change in the back pass legislation. And if I remember rightly, Andy, we were disagreeing about it.
You remember correctly.
And we probably still do. Here's Limpar. He's chased it gallantly, but it wasn't the best of passes from Wright. Keane. It's always so aggressively energetic to get to the ball in midfield. Kanchelskis, we haven't seen a great deal of him. Cantona. For Hughes, no offside. Keown, well, it's given. And Manchester United players turn and look at the linesman. As Martin Keown was appealing from a position where he seemed to be playing Hughes on.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind that Mark Hughes is onside. Whether it's Ryan Giggs at the right of the screen there is the one who's given offside, but certainly Mark Hughes wasn't.
I don't think Keown had seen Giggs, but the linesman had, and we're hearing news from the bench that Limpar is going to be asked to switch from the right to the left. Well, an inconvenient kick-off time, particularly for those travelling from the northwest of England, but an excellent attendance at Wembley. The figures stopping there on the spin, just over 66,500. Giggs, Seaman was far from home. We're 15 minutes into the second half. We are as we were at half-time. Arsenal 1, Manchester United 1. Giggs. It's losing Janssen. Keane. Giggs. Well, it was just delivered into a dangerous area with pace, hoping that something would happen for Manchester United.
And that's an area lots of people have said it's Ryan Giggs' weakest as well, as when he gets it wide, the quality of his crosses into the box, well, it's not quite what it should be. That's a magnificent strike into the danger area. But there have been numerous occasions today already where Ryan Giggs has been, I think, in good positions and has failed to produce a cross of sufficient quality. But as you say, it tender years, is it so much time to perfect that?
It may be one reason, Andy, why at Old Trafford, if you really press them, but they do feel that his long-term future is as a central striker.
That wouldn't surprise me at all, Martin. I mean, you can protect a young kid of 19 when you play him wide. You know, those are areas of the pitch where you can protect him. You stick him up front at 19, he's up there on his own. It's kick and be kicked and learn or die. And perhaps they're just saying, well, let's protect Ryan Giggs for a couple of years till he matures and physically matures a little bit as well, and then stick him up there.
Kick and be kicked. That was certainly your philosophy, wasn't it?
Only after I was kicked, of course.
Even that's not in the laws of the game. With each passing year, of course, there are a few of us left who remember you as a player, Andy.
I don't even remember myself as a player, Mark.
Start home to Coventry in the league programme. Manchester United, you will see live on Sky Sports Super Sunday, a week tomorrow, from Carrow Road, Norwich. What an intriguing game that is, where for 20 minutes last season Manchester United must have played as well as at any time in the whole campaign against championship rivals. Limpar with the corner. Finnegan a little higher than he was supposed to, with the aid of an opponent. Or maybe we will see Brian Robson. His squad number for the season is number 12, not number 7, which may tell you something about Alec Ferguson's longer-term thinking. Where he's sure to play a part, one would think, would be in the European games, where, of course, the nationality of players is very important and the restrictions on the non-Englishmen. On that subject, Alex Ferguson will be going to watch Honved play tomorrow, Manchester United's opponents in the first round. They're in action at Millwall. Just by chance, it's a convenient place to have to go.
I'd quite like to see Robbo come on, Mark. The game's just not died a little bit, but you can see, I think, players are not coasting, but they're just protecting themselves a little as well now. And an injection of Brian Robson into the game wouldn't do it any harm at all.
I think he'd agree with you.
When it's tight like this, though, you always feel Arsenal hold the upper hand.
Limpar.
Whereas in a free-flowing game of end-to-end stuff, you really would fancy Manchester United. Just looking there at Tony Adams, who was George Graham there was obviously singing this guy's praises all week, and the build-up to this scene is probably the greatest captain that Arsenal have ever had. I mean, that's amazing coming from, you know, George Graham. Shows you how highly he rates that guy. And you look around here, it's a pre-season game still, it's a charity shield, and he's the one guy on the Arsenal side who's geeing everybody up, demanding more from him.
Well, that's his new nickname at the club, simply Arsenal. He used to be called Rodders, after the character in Only Fools and Horses. But you are looking at Mr. Arsenal when you look at Tony Adams. Keane. Well, it looks as though Ryan Giggs is the player who's going to come off for Brian Robson. Fourth official, Paul Durkin, has the number 11 board in his hand. That gives Manchester United the chance to make the change. If the referee sees his colleague. done yet. Ryan Giggs also with an arm aloft, calling for the ball. Jensen is the player hurt. Kanchelskis. Ince. Keown had to just funnel into the centre. Manchester United had 2 over on the left. Grateful for the pace of Pallister. Schmeichel perhaps preferring a little less pace on the back pass. Winterburn. 1-1. There has to be a result, even if it goes to penalties, but there will be no extra time if it's level after 90 minutes. Well, Keane has left 1 or 2 scars on Arsenal players in previous battles in Nottingham Forest colours. And he's certainly not holding back here, and he's not going to be substituted either. It is Ryan Giggs who's going off.
Yeah, Paul Davis certainly felt the full weight of his tackle there.
The game has just passed the 3-quarter mark. Brian Robson, who will be 37 in January. Bruce. Here's Jensen, who was down but for only a moment. Hughes. And Arsenal really tigerish at the moment, but suddenly, when there seemed to be no space at all, Ince found some. Kanchelskis has switched to the left with the departure of Giggs. Arsenal are back. Now Robson. Limpar.
Well, at this, if you were betting at this moment in time, you would certainly have to be favouring Arsenal. They do seem to have their tails up.
They have Winterburn's cross. Alistair's header away for United. Here's Parker. Cantona. Genuine concern from Tony Adams. Or was it? Was it just saying, don't fall over unless I really foul you?
Maybe it was a little bit of friendship Tony's picked up in the summer as well.
Well, you are supposed to know everything in this job, but I can't tell you where he went for his holidays, Andy, I'm sorry.
And that does surprise me, man.
Limpar. Well, we've heard already that he went to Jamaica. One or 2 French-speaking places in the West Indies, are there, Andy? You've travelled a lot more than I have.
My schooling was even further back in my football career, Mark. No, just like me to remember.
Oh, Schmeichel almost kicking his side into trouble. Robson in tandem with Ince in the centre of midfield. Keane playing now on the right-hand side of the 4.
Well, if Manchester United, if Manchester United are looking for any inspiration from the supporters, they're certainly getting it. They really are opening their hearts at the moment and giving them every opportunity to get back in this game.
Davis only played 11 times in Arsenal's first team last season, but he picked his games. And he got winners' medals in 2 competitions. Cantona, Ince, Hughes, and now Kanchelskis. He's in behind Keown. Oh, well held by David Seaman, who's had very little to do in the second half.
Good take this from the big goalkeeper. As you say, he's almost been a spectator the second half. But Andrei Kanchelskis gets in behind Martin Keown. Chooses a difficult foot there, the outside of the right foot. And it would have been far easier for him just to curl his left foot round this. You can see there, it's the outside of the right foot. Tries to tease it in there. And that's a good take from David Seaman.
Merson. Limpar. You can see the belief that Arsenal have at the moment. Right, and Limpar wanted it to feet. There wasn't any angle in there behind Irwin. Robson steering it to Kanchelskis. He's going to cross it this time with his left foot. No. Oh, when the cross came, it was worth waiting for. And Cantona tried to find extra room for the extra touch. And Nigel Winterburn really slammed the door in his face with a terrific tackle. Here's Cantona again, hoping to tee up a teammate. One or two available, Robson and Ince. Now Parker. With speed and strength, and fouled by Campbell coming back.
Yeah, you're right, man. This was a wonderful... Look at the way that Cantona just pulls on the back of Tony Adams. He thinks he's got time to pull it down. But what a tackle from Nigel Winterburn. Excellent stuff.
Free kick though to Manchester United, 17 minutes left. United scored first, they played the brighter football. In the first half they were pegged back. But here goes Kanchelskis!
Well, that couldn't have been far away.
David Seaman knows it.
I think he took David Seaman completely by surprise. I think that's what the smile was for. That David Seaman's happy to see this go. He seems to react a little bit late, David. And he strikes it quite beautifully. Sweet as anything. Look at that. Power was there. Just a fraction out in the accuracy.
Next act in the drama is the departure of Anders Limpar. And the arrival of Eddie McGoldrick. McGoldrick, who with Crystal Palace was invariably a loser against Arsenal, and has obviously adopted the philosophy, if you can't beat them, join them. He was certainly Palace's bogey side, and of course the side that sent them down. Offside. Let's get a word from Nick Collins again from the far side. Nick.
Well, Martin, just to tell you, that was a tactical substitution, but George Graham actually applauded the Swede as he came off. And I want to just make a couple of quick observations about the new coaching laws, but I'll come back to me in a little while.
Parker. Adams couldn't quite find the sort of pass to Campbell that Merson did earlier in the half, which made life so difficult for Pallister.
I think the only thing Arsenal haven't done in the second half so far is get a goal. I think we often talk about when you're dominating games how important it is to actually score. Certainly when you're playing against teams like Manchester United and Arsenal's of this world. Because it would be foolish for us to think that there won't be a period in the second half when Manchester United won't threaten.
Davis. Right against Bruce. Well, made the goalkeeper make a save it. Perhaps the most convincing one. You wouldn't have thought Schmeichel would drop the ball like that. Cantona. Kanchelskis to his left. And coming in on the right, it's Roy Keane. Well saved by Seaman. Kanchelskis. And blocked without flinching by Adams. Well, Roy Keane must have fancied his first goal for Manchester United then. Keane able to get into that position because of the change since Robson came on for Giggs. And Arsenal would have felt very aggrieved, having been the better side in the second half, and very pleased with the work of their goalkeeper here.
Oh yeah, but this is all down to the genius of Eric Cantona. The old adage, if you can't go through them, around them, go over them. Look at that for vision and class. Keane keeps his head here, but this is where Seaman shows all the class that he possesses. Wonderful one-handed save.
That's a great ball by Hughes for Ince. Jensen. It's no penalty. But if Jensen played the ball, David Seaman has just picked it up. Let's see here.
Well, we look at it as we go in. That's a penalty, and I'll tell you why he didn't give it. Gerald Ashby had an awful view of it. He's directly behind us. You can see it's Ince who gets the touch. Jensen takes him down. In anyone's book, it's a penalty, but the referee had an awful view of it, Martin. He really did.
Well, either a penalty, and if not, a back pass, and Seaman just scooped the ball up. Oh, and then suddenly, Ian Wright reminds us again that if you look away at a slow-motion replay of a previous incident, when the ball's in play, you're playing a dangerous game, because in a flash, it could have been 2-1 Arsenal.
Incredible. No backlift, just instinctive. He knows where the goals are. What young kids should admire about him, he's probably had 2 shots at goal today. He's hit the target twice.
McGoldrick with the corner. Linnigan. And it was Wright again, who was moving in for the kill. And Schmeichel, who somehow poured it away.
Great attacking of the ball by Linnigan. Look at the way he attacks it. And the only reason that Ian Wright doesn't score there is it really landed at an awkward height.
That's a great take by Schmeichel. Full of authority. And the game has reached once more the levels that it had in the first half. After a dip that's certainly explainable at the start of the second half on a very warm afternoon, at a time when players still haven't quite honed the fitness to the levels that the league requires.
I think in the last 5 minutes he's shown what I said. The more open the game is, the more fluent the game is, the more you fancy Manchester United, the tighter the game becomes. Then Arsenal, to me, look better equipped for that type of game.
Well, it could have been settled at either end, but it should not be forgotten that a penalty shootout is looming large. We've got 10 minutes to go. Mistake by Robson. Merson. Fresh figure of McGoldrick. Anticipated well by Bruce. That pass perhaps didn't take quite account of where McGoldrick had continued his run to. Davis. McGoldrick. Also, of course, now of the Republic of Ireland. A versatile performer who could play as a free defender at the back. Is what he did for Crystal Palace for a time. The Irish connection, of course, pretty evident here. Dennis Irwin, Roy Keane as well. They're looking forward to a place in the United States next summer. Position of Denmark and Peter Schmeichel still not quite so secure. Spain in the frame as well. Hughes. Here's Keane. And Parker Gamble and getting forward. Merson trying to use the space that Parker had vacated. No flag from the linesman, despite the Manchester United appeals. Merson kept it in. Winterberg. Davis. Jensen. That'll be the goalkeepers.
What a weapon that is that Peter Schmeichel's got, Martin, when he picks the ball up like that and can launch it 40, 50 yards straight into your striker's chest, and when you've got someone like Mark Hughes so strong on the ball, it really is great to have.
Kanchelskis. This is probably qualified to open the bowling for England at cricket. Kanchelskis from Keane's pass. Goal kick.
Well, he's let down by his poor first touch there, Andrei Kanchelskis. Makes a lovely run, the ball's perfect, but look at his first touch. He's never in control of the situation after that.
Some deep breaths being taken out there. Keane. I'm still satisfied with the numbers they've got back at the moment. I'm waiting for the mistake, really. But United still have it with Parker. And Cantona is offside. Well, there were doubts about Eric Cantona with this knee injury. But I must say, he has been in the game right from the start. A reminder, if one was necessary, just what a catalyst he was for Manchester United in the Championship. He actually first got himself involved with the squad watching Manchester United play at Highbury in November. Sat in the stand, camera more often on him at times than on the game. No one knew quite what would happen. Here's Kanchelskis. Owen took it early, took it well, and so too did Seaman.
Lovely movement again and good handling from David Seaman. Kanchelskis very aware of Dennis Irwin, hammering up on the inside there. In the end, it's a comfortable catch for David Seaman. A good strike from Dennis Irwin.
You'd think he'd be one of the penalty takers too if it goes to that. And we're only, what, 6 minutes away. Plus stoppage time. Oh. So the whistle has gone for the first foul, which was by Campbell on Pallister.
And the bounce fools Gary Pallister a little bit there, but I think you can see that Kevin Campbell, the linesman, sees it as well. Kevin Campbell just tugged him with his left hand.
I just wonder, Pallister and Adams, there's a conundrum for Graham Taylor. Or could they play together for England? Here against Poland early in September, another game you'll see exclusively live on Sky Sports. Keane, who, amongst his many qualities, is exceptional in the air.
So just a little answer to that question, Martin. Yes, there's no reason why they both can't play together. I think Pallister and Adams, we saw a great example of the pace of Gary Pallister in the first half when he outstripped Ian Wright.
That was another view of Keane's climb. Pallister doing likewise defensively. Parker. Wilson just trying to make it awkward for Schmeichel. Mistake by Keane. Right. Davis. Oh, and Merson stubbing his toe. Brian Robson partly responsible for that. Getting to the scene quickly. Robson scored a couple of goals in the Charity Shield 10 years ago, when Manchester United beat Liverpool here 2-0. He was a loser in '85. And Everton, that I think still included Andy Gray in the squad. Or had you gone by then?
I had gone by then.
Kanchelskis. Aiming handball by Jensen. I wonder what language being used there. Maybe bad language.
But I don't think there's much John Jensen can do about this. He's very close. It does hit him in the arm. You can see why the United players are complaining. Nothing deliberate.
Especially feeling that they should have had a penalty against them earlier.
Well, I think that was more clear-cut in my book.
Kanchelskis. Manchester United striving it to be settled their way. Owen, there's no Threaded a goal for them on that occasion. Here's Winterburn. Davis. Good movement by Wright. Davis keeping it short and safe. Adams. Repositions again. Short, not altogether safe from Linnigan towards Keown. Campbell. Back down for Wright. Nicely done for Merson. Owen read it well. Cantona was trying to be a bit too clever. McGoldrick, is this the moment now for Arsenal? Campbell and Wright in the centre. What a great tackle by Brian Robson. Couldn't blame McGoldrick for trying to isolate the former England captain then. Robson's having none of it.
Yeah, I bet he fancied his chances, Eddie McGoldrick there. But Robbo, years of experience and a real competitor, was having none of it.
Pallister. 90 seconds plus stoppage time. And suddenly the goalkeepers do come into the spotlight. Hughes. Foul by him. Demolishing Davis. Years of injuries and disputes with the management for Paul Davis. And now a new 2-year contract to look forward to. A lot of Arsenal supporters will be glad that bygones are now bygones.
Well, a lot of Arsenal supporters said that was one of the big failings last year. They didn't have really enough skill and ability in the central midfield player. They felt that people like David Hillier and John Jensen in particular are very similar. Certainly if Paul Davis can get the level of fitness required now to play in the Premier League, Martin, or the Premiership, then he'll be a real asset. It'll be like getting a new player for George Graham.
Ian Wright throwing the ball back to Schmeichel, of course. Fresh memories of 2 successful penalties past. Great Dane in South Africa, one either side of him. But Hughes trying to see that it's not to be settled by penalties for Cantona, but there wasn't quite the opening there. Penalties it is. After a fine exhibition in the 1993 Charity Shield. Ian Wright equalising the opening goal from Mark Hughes. A lot of camaraderie between the two camps, as I was saying earlier, and that will come into play as the players settle now for the penalty shootout. 1-1 here, but make no mistake about it, Alec Ferguson wants to take this latest trophy that they're playing for back to Old Trafford. George Graham will have earmarked a spot for it at Highbury. Manchester United can remember a poor effort from the penalty spot in Russia last year that got them out of Europe. Steve, 1-1 here, but make no mistake about it, Alec Ferguson wants to take this latest trophy that they're playing for back to Old Trafford. George Graham will have earmarked a spot for it at Highbury. Manchester United can remember a poor effort from the penalty spot in Russia last year that got them out of Europe. Steve Bruce and Gary Pallister failing in that shootout. Peter Schmeichel, of course, was a hero in the European Championships, saved a penalty from Marco van Basten.
This will be interesting.
Sorry, we could bore the viewers with penalty pasts. And Steve Bruce did miss one. We should remind ourselves in the FA Cup at Sheffield United.
What I like to look at now, Mark, there's the different ways that the players actually adopt, the different tactics they all adopt to take a penalty. Some will just put their foot behind the ball and smash it as hard as they can. Some might go try and dominate the keeper, slip it in the corner. Others will opt for power and accuracy into a certain area of the goal. It all amounts to a fascinating 4 or 5 minutes we're in store.
It is a match, of course, that could have been settled by a penalty in the 90 minutes when Paul Ince powered forward here. Andy.
Yeah, look at the referee there, just in the bottom of your screen. His position is directly behind the incident. So he sees John Jensen's leg go out, he sees Paul Ince's leg go out. He must be undecided as to who gets there first. It's taken us 1 or 2 slow motion replays to decide that it's a penalty. My first instinct was it was a penalty. I thought Paul Ince had got there first, but we're a lot higher up there. He gets there first, Jensen brings him down. It should be a penalty, but I have to offer some sympathy for the referee on that occasion. His view wasn't the best in the world.
Well, David Seaman makes his way forward, and just as Nick Collins said, it's Paul Ince first up for Manchester United. One after 90 minutes. The destiny of the Charity Shield depending on the penalty shootout, which Ince gets underway successfully. 1-0 to United.
Well, that was very confidently struck. Opted for accuracy. That was a super struck penalty.
But what about Nigel Winterburn? 5.5 years ago, he missed a penalty in a League Cup final. It was saved by Luton's Andy Dibble. And I can't really recall him taking one for Arsenal since then. But here he goes now. Oh. Well, it wasn't the best of penalties, was it? But the outcome was all that he could have wanted. It counts for Arsenal.
Well, it got the same as Paul Ince's very well struck penalty. But I think Ron Atkinson's theory, Nigel Spinks would have saved that one, that's for sure. Straight down the middle.
Well, now it's a player who's taken plenty for Manchester United. Steve Bruce never shirks the responsibility. Some have got away from him, of course. But overall, his record is very good.
He's got good style, Martin. You watch Steve, normally he places the ball. It's all one movement. He'll walk out to roughly the 18-yard line, turning away, then he'll turn back, straight to the ball, and through it. Very religious. There he goes, watch this. Get out, straight back.
And he's composed enough to replace the ball. To get it absolutely right. Here goes Bruce this time. Yes. The longer the wait, the greater the pressure, and the greater the satisfaction if you do score.
Lovely position as well. David Seaman, no chance.
Well, I must say I am surprised it is John Jensen to confront Peter Schmeichel. Well, this is a wonderful contest here. The two Danes at Wembley Stadium. And Jensen has the power. And Schmeichel is powerless to prevent it being 2-2.
Well, so far Manchester United have adopted placement and accuracy, and Arsenal, well, they've just gone for this. Foot behind it and power it in.
The responsibility passes now to Dennis Irwin. Such an excellent striker of a dead ball. But no! Seaman goes the right way. So, is that the save that's going to be decisive at the end of the afternoon?
It's at a good height for the goalkeeper. You see that? It's about a yard off the ground. They actually love them at that height. Strikes it well enough. David Seaman guesses right.
So now, Kevin Campbell with a chance to capitalise on Seaman's save. And he does so. And Arsenal lead 3-2 on penalties.
Goes a little bit early, I think, Peter Schmeichel there. And I think that made up Kevin Campbell's mind just to roll it in the corner.
Into the firing line comes Roy Keane. Very little margin for error for Manchester United now. And Keane converts pretty much into the centre of the goal. But Arsenal still have the penalty in hand.
Well, if goalkeepers dive, then you're never going to miss it if you hit it down the middle.
Fourth up for Arsenal, who have a 100% record so far, is Paul Merson. And that 100% record is maintained. Well, there is no margin for error for Manchester United after this effort from Merson. Sorry, Andy.
No problem, Mark.
If Cantona fails, then the Charity Shield is Arsenal's. Can David Seaman pull out another stunning save? Look at that. That's arrogance beyond belief. Just tapped it into the corner.
Well, I suppose it's only right that so casually taking penalties set up the confrontation. What was it, a couple of weeks ago he knocked two past Peter Schmeichel. Law of averages would suggest he's going to miss one day against Peter Schmeichel. Perhaps it's today.
Ian Wright, one either side in Johannesburg just under 2 weeks ago, beating the Manchester United goalkeeper. And a penalty opportunity here to win the Charity Shield for Arsenal. No! He's been there once too often.
Well, you could sense it. I mentioned it, and you can sense it. The hero so often, and twice having scored in South Africa recently. I just felt, after that wonderful equaliser today, it just might not be his day. Incredible.
So, after the 5 appointed, it's 4 each. Brian Robson. The end can come very quick when you get into this sudden death situation. But Robson steers it in, and Manchester United now are in front. And suddenly Arsenal are under pressure.
There was no one moving from the centre circle. Great coolness from Brian Robson, wasn't it? David Seaman looks to be lining up for this one.
That's why no one's moving. Well, David Seaman. This is a rarity. One goalkeeper against the other. And Michael saves, and Manchester United celebrate. The champions have triumphed in the summer showpiece yet again. And Arsenal, who bettered United less than 2 weeks ago, have to settle for second best today when their goalkeeper fails from the penalty spot. And the penalty shootout lacked nothing in drama. After Hughes and Wright had exchanged goals, Wright failing when he could have won it for Arsenal from the penalty spot. The major task here for both sides to be right for next weekend's pursuit of Premiership points. But the setting and the silverware, if not perhaps the starting time, conducive to a competitive afternoon, enjoyed in all parts of the ground and in the director's box as well, I'm sure. It's not long before the two sides meet again, September the 19th at Old Trafford. Well, this, Andy, is how it all finished.
Very casually taken, wasn't it? Peter Schmeichel, guess is right. It's about that yard off the ground, good goalkeeper's height, and the save, really, in the end, is quite a comfortable one.
So the loser's going up first, and it's an unusual experience for Arsenal at Wembley. But if they had to lose on their 5 visits this season, I suppose this is the one that they would sacrifice.
You bet your life that.
And it came by the narrowest of margins. They certainly acquitted themselves well in the game itself, particularly in the second half when they looked the more likely winners.
It's amazing. Gordon Strachan's right when he talked about the pain's not there. You wouldn't see many players tripping up there to pick up losers' medals with smiles on their faces in normal life, Mark.
And Arsenal still don't come face to face with the Charity Shield. They've never won it at Wembley. They haven't won it at all since 1953 when they beat that Blackpool side of the Stanley Matthews era who'd won the Cup so dramatically. The winners today, as is so often in the Charity Shield, the champions. Steve Bruce, who's making something of a habit of being there at the head of the line when the trophies are being handed out. And Manchester United with plenty to look forward to over the months ahead. Arsenal, I'm sure, will be a major adversary for them in all the domestic competitions. But on this summer's Saturday afternoon, it is, in the Charity Shield, Manchester United's day. Billy Wright makes the presentation. And those Manchester United supporters who set their alarm clocks this morning are rewarded for their trip. It's quite a trophy to carry as well. But Steve Bruce has it safely stashed away in the keeping of Manchester United for next year. And of course, when you think of the Charity Shield from a professional point of view, it's being in it that matters, because it means you've either been champions or you've won the FA Cup. Bobby Charlton and Sir Matt Busby are on the winning side this afternoon, but how close it was. When you look back on the 90 minutes, Manchester United began the game very well and deserved their early lead. The smiles wiped off their faces just before half-time by Ian Wright. Alex Ferguson, who hasn't been too well this week, he's had an ear infection, which I suppose is different from all the earache he's given to players down the years. But he's a winner again.
made the vital save, Peter Schmeichel, and that must have been a bizarre feeling watching your opposite number coming up to take it.
Yeah, it was. And I dived to that side like 4 times and they put it in the other side, so I thought, well, this time he must put it there, and he did. Luckily for me, sad for him.
He didn't hit it as hard as he might have done, but nevertheless you still had to make the save.
I know, he knows a goalkeeper that if you only take 2 steps, it's difficult to read where the ball's coming. I just had to take the chance, and he put it in the side where I dived to, and I'm very pleased with that.
A good omen, do you think, for the season, this match, with United picking up the Charity Shield?
Well, it's always nice to pick up trophies, and I mean, this is a good start. You never get used to pick up trophies. That's something you want to do for the rest of your life. And I think, yeah, it is a pretty good start for the season.
Peter, we'll let you join in the celebrations. Thank you.